We're going to heat them up in the microwave just a little bit before we mix them with the rice at the end. Well, today we're going to make a favorite. We get lots of requests for this. It's our black beans and cilantro lime rice. Lots of great flavors. Now, if you have any comments, please let us know. We'd love to respond. If you have any suggestions or any questions also. And by the way, you gotta subscribe because you don't want to miss any of our videos. Very, very important, okay? So for this recipe, we've got so many wonderful ingredients that we're gonna add together and we're gonna make it just perfect. We're gonna use converted rice. You may want to use basmati rice if you wish, but we're just using converted rice. Canned black beans. Canned black beans, we drained them and then just placed them in the bowl. We're going to heat them up in the microwave just a little bit before we mix them with the rice at the end. And we're also going to use some cilantro, some green onions, some regular onions, as well as a jalapeno pepper. I'm going to show you how to cut it up, and we're going to give you some really good tips. So you want to stick around for the rest of this video because we're going to show you how you can either heat it up, kick it up, or maybe knock it down a little bit so everybody's happy. Also some green onions and fresh limes. I think we should go ahead and get started. All right, so the first thing we got to do is cut some onions. This is my favorite vegetable. What I want to show you do is how to dice an onion very easily and accurately. I've cut my onion in half after I removed off the flower part and part of the root. You can still see that root right there. I'm going to remove the next 2 layers of onion skin right here. Just take that off because that doesn't cook up very well. Put that into our bin. I'm going to make an invisible line on this side of the onion. That is to enable me to take my knife and place it there at the line and bring it forward. So I'm making vertical slices down, and you'll see why I'm keeping that root in there. Of course, it keeps my onion together as I turn it a quarter turn and vertical slices down again. Did you see in my hands? I've got a monster grip here and a firm grip on my knife. 4 fingers there and 1 finger on the bolt, so I could cut down. My sharp knife is going to go exactly where I want it to go. Now, once I get to where I made that line, I just flip it over, cut around, and cut around. Remove the root because we no longer need that in our dish. So my onion's ready to go. Next thing is the jalapeno pepper. So jalapeno peppers to some people are very hot. I've actually seen some mild ones because they're doing these pepper poppers, but I'm going to show you how to make it even less hot if that's what you wish. So I cut off the top part. I'm going to divide my pepper in half, exposing the seeds. I'm going to take a teaspoon and then just scrape the seeds right out of the center. Now, if you want this dish to be hot, leave the seeds in, okay? I like it to taste the jalapenos, but I don't want to be too fiery. But you decide on your dish. Place those seeds off to the side. And then what I'm going to do is to take my jalapeno pepper and then just slice it from the inside out. Just like that. In strips, and then line them up using my knife and my monster grip. It's going to rotate on my knuckles, and I'm just going to slice down like that. So that combined, we're going to saute with our some clarified butter. Now, in one of my earlier videos, we clarified some butter, and we want to use that right now because this is going to give it even more flavor. I need 2 tablespoons. Let's turn our fire on. And that's heating up. And as it's heating up, we're going to add in our jalapeno pepper and our half of an onion, half of a medium onion. So we're going to saute these vegetables, let some of the natural sugars that are in there come out. And then after that happens, we're going to then add in our rice and cook our rice in there as well. Why are we doing this? Because everything we do is about flavor. So we're going to kick up the flavor, that's so important, and we're going to layer it. So right now I've got my clarified butter, which is nice and flavorful. I've got my jalapeno peppers and my onions. I'm going to cook them. When they cook, the flavor comes out. That's the essence of cooking, is to bring out more flavor in the food. So we'll let these cook a little bit. As soon as the onions start to soften, you'll see that the sugar comes out and it starts caramelizing in the bottom of the pot. I can just smell it right now. It smells just heavenly. Give it about another minute. So one of the other flavors we are going to be using in here is fresh lime. So what I want to do is to take the lime and I'm going to extract some of the juice from it. But first I roll it just a little bit on my cutting board, and then I cut off the two ends of the lime like this. And then cut the lime in the center like that. And I'll show you why in just a minute. That's an important thing to do before you squeeze it. Okay, now our vegetables are just starting to turn brown. I see a little bit of color in the bottom of my pot. I see that my vegetables are getting a little bit soft. And they're getting that color of toast is what I was looking for. So at this point, I'm going to add in all of the rice. I've got 2 cups of rice. Whenever you're cooking rice, I always do 2 cups of dry rice and 4 cups of liquid, no matter what the liquid is. Let's go ahead and place in our converted rice, and let's make them happy. So each grain of rice now is going to soak up this wonderful flavor from the onions, from the jalapeno pepper, also from that wonderful butter we have, the clarified butter. And we're going to cook those for about a minute, maybe 2. And as they're doing this, the rice is actually going to be even more flavorful. You'll see when you taste it, it's just excellent. All right, in about a minute, this will be nice and toasty. Keep stirring it. Don't let it sit there because it will burn, and we don't want that to happen. We'll have to start all over again. That's no fun. All right. Now you know I'm using jalapeno peppers. There's no reason you could use, say, bell peppers or other types of peppers that you would like. There's so many wonderful varieties out there, and I would highly suggest that you check different ones out for different flavor profiles. And as I said earlier, if you like it really hot, leave the seeds in, and if you want to add 2 jalapeno peppers, that would be okay. Okay, so now our rice is starting to get that toastiness. You're going to see when I add in our chicken stock that it'll start to sizzle, which we know because that rice is really superheated. Here we go. 2 cups of chicken stock. Hear that sizzle? That rice is ready. Okay, so now we're going to place in the lime. Remember I showed you about cutting off the bottom part? Here's why we're doing this. I'm placing it into my squeezer. We give it a good squeeze like that. And now, in order to get all of the juice, we're going to flip it. Look at this. Look how much more juice comes out of it after we squeeze it again. You would normally just throw that part away, but now we're getting to use all of the juice. Now, what I'm going to do is to add a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Okay, the lime, because it's an acid, you don't need too much more salt on that, okay? And in some cases, if you want to avoid the salt, just use some citrus juice. That would add a great amount of acid to it and would take place of adding too much salt. And also remember, we're using canned black beans. Check the label. That may have salt in it too. All right, let's just give this a stir. Bring it to a rolling boil. And once it comes to a rolling boil, you can see how it is now. We turn it down to a simmer. Let me look at my lights down here. See, just barely touching the bottom of the pan, and then we'll let it set for 18 minutes and we'll have perfect rice. And we're going to cover it, set a timer for 18 minutes. All right, so now we're going to cut up some green onions. So we have these scallions, or green onions as they're known. We're going to cut off the root part. I don't use those, but let's get rid of those. And I am going to use the white and the green. So what I want to do is show you a little trick here, okay? So take that part off. Instead of going from one end to the other, I'm going to cut them in half and bring it together. Remember how I told you how to hold the knife properly? You want to have that. But because I cut it in half, I'm going to cut my work in half as well. Point of the knife stays on the cutting board, and I'm using it just like this. See how I'm going back and forth? So push it forward, pick it up, push it forward. My knuckle is guiding where it's going to go next. So I know at all times where the knife is. The knife does not leave the cutting board. It's always the point stuck there. And that's where we have our nice green onions. Let's go ahead and place that into our receptacle, and we're going to dice up some cilantro. So cilantro has a lot of flavor, and you've heard me say this before, but you always want to garnish your food with things that people can eat, right? So good flavor is what's important. So now I'm going to take the cilantro, just roll it into my hand like a golf ball, place that right on the cutting board, and I'm just going to slice down like this. Turn it around, slice it again, and then place my hand on top, and then just go ahead and chop up the cilantro. You notice that I use the stems. The stems have more flavor than the leaves, so might as well get all that good flavor in there. Okay, so here's our cilantro. Let's go ahead and place that into our receptacle, because I want to show you another garnish that you're going to find very interesting, and one that you can do over and over again with a variety of citrus fruits. So I have the lime. So what I'm going to do with my lime, just cut off the two ends again, right there close to the edge. I do that because when I put it on the plate, I want it to sit flat. Next thing I want to do is to take my knife here, and I've got one with a sharp point, so a paring knife, and just place it. I'm going to make a series of interconnected V's. Just put it in about halfway through, interconnected V's. So connect, connect, connect. And you don't have to be artistic, okay? It could be higher, lower, that's even better. Just push it into this way. You go from all the way around. And remember, I'm using a cutting board, so this way if the knife ever slips, it hits the board and not your hand, okay? I'm always cautioning people, don't start slicing things in their hand. I know you see a lot of people doing that, but it's no fun when it hits your hand. Okay, so I slice it all the way around. Squeeze the center like this, and then you divide it and you see that garnish. Now I'm going to show you how to change this even another bit. I've got here some paprika. So I'm going to take the tips and just drop it in like that. You don't have to rub it. Just drop it in like that. And then pick it back up. So now you can also put cayenne. Some people like to really get it spicy. But now we have a nice garnish that we're going to use after we plate up our food. Okay? So let me just, okay. Our rice should be ready. The 18-minute timer went off. Let's remove the lid, and wow. I can smell it. It's going to be really good. Let's give it a stir, because those vegetables that we put in there, the onions and the hot peppers, are now coming to the top. So I just want to combine them, like mix them all around, you know, make them happy, get them in there. And then I'm going to take our black beans. Now I've just placed this into our microwave oven to get them hot, and we're going to incorporate those into the rice. This is our black beans and rice. Sometimes they call that a Creole style beans and rice. I've heard that before. And of course, black beans and rice is just a wonderful ingredient. Now remember, because the color of the beans, the rice is now going to get a little bit more darker. And that's okay, because that's what the dish is supposed to look like, right? So let's go ahead and make these really happy, get them in there. This is going to be a great dish. So now we're going to plate it. What I'm going to do is plate it right here on our platter, and we're going to arrange it right down the center of the dish. Now this particular recipe is used in a lot of Hispanic recipes, a lot of South American, and it's just a wonderful way to enjoy protein and the wonderful rice. It goes great. We have some super chicken recipes. I think this is a perfect combination for it. So you want to definitely check into our other videos as well. We have so many. And of course, if you like fun videos, you can't beat ours because we've got it going, okay? And don't forget, you definitely got to let us know how you feel about it. Maybe you have some questions or suggestions. And of course, we want you to subscribe. Let's go ahead and garnish our wonderful dish here. We have some green onions. Place those in there. They taste so good. They're going to kick up the flavor of the food. And also some cilantro. And then with the limes, like I said, I put paprika. You could put hot peppers if you wish, some cayenne. Your guests can just take the lime and squeeze it over if they want a little bit more of that lime flavor in there. But there it is. Now, as I said earlier, this is one dish you're going to love. Remember, our recipes are always simple and, of course, they're delicious.